They've got a reputation for not growing up, but here they are nonetheless. Generation Xers are now approaching midlife while being plagued by financial instabilities, louder generations, anniversary edition upon anniversary edition of Nirvana's Nevermind, and now that they have children, no longer being able to rage against the machine. Last week, Salon's Sarah Scribner asked the question, how do slackers have a midlife crisis? And it kind of got us wondering.
I think that Generation X has been defined as the divorced generation, and about half of us grew up as latchkey kids, so we're well trained in making our own meals from age 6 and letting ourselves into our houses after school, and basically being born small adults. So I think that to a large extent we have been managing the dramas of our parents' divorces and the dramas of single parenthood as viewed through the lens of our single mothers and being helpers in the household since a very early age. So we're always juggling balls.
In a lot of ways, that Challenger disaster is a good example of our experience of institutions really not being able to do what they say they're going to do and of failing us, whether it's our workplaces laying us off, whether it's the Space Shuttle Challenger blowing up. We grew up in the middle of the AIDS crisis in college. Things around us failed us. And so I think that has given us a very cynical worldview, which taken to the extreme, I think takes us out of politics and very myopic on that front. And on the positive side, I think makes us very practical, both in our personal lives and hopefully in our political and social lives as well.
And I think that, our very childhoods and adolescences prepare us for a life of self-sufficiency and being very nimble, being able to respond to crises very quickly, and being able to reinvent ourselves all the time. I mean, Generation Xers, often go through a number of job transitions or manage a number of different types of jobs all at once, very accustomed to working freelance, very self-directed, because, again, this sort of suspicion of authority, the flip side of that means that you can trust us to get the job done without a lot of direction. And so I think that these things actually bode well for us going into middle age and beyond, that we've really been working our entire lives and understand what's involved. And, you could say that we're cynical, but we're also very clear-eyed realists in a lot of ways. I think the one thing that we do lack is we never seem to have enough time to really sit down and plan for the future, because we're constantly responding to the demands of our children, the demands of a changing workplace, the demands of shifting economic pressures. I think that a great motivator for Generation Xers in terms of planning for the future are their children. I mean, if you look at it on the face of it, you would think, well, given this kind of cruddy childhood and having been raised by me generation parents, that we, might not be so hot or attentive as parents ourselves. And in fact, we've been accused of being helicopter parents. And, if that's the worst that anybody can say about a person, I guess that's not so bad. Mm-hmm. So I think that it is true that we tend to be more sensitive and more attuned to our kids' needs than other generations who are a little bit more neurotic. But, can you blame us given, our childhood? So our kids end up being great motivators in terms of us planning for the future. And, if we won't do it for ourselves and for our own well-being, we'll do it for them. Mm-hmm.